The noisy over there, I think, four over there. So that's David Lovell from Southwark. David Lovell first.
Sure. I'm David Lovell. I'm a long-term Balham resident and a supporter of the Save Our Balham campaign, which is aimed, well, the primary aim is to get Balham no longer the preferred option route and get it back to Tooting Broadway. Because for two things. One, we believe that Tooting Broadway is the place it should be there. The second, Balham is not a good option for things like, as Stephen Colborne has said. We had as from a standing start really, we got over 4,000 in the consultation, nearly 10,000 objections in many ways. We had a very successful meeting with Christian chairing it in Balham in April, and we're going to have another meeting in next month, in Wednesday 13th of July at 7 p.m. to pick up on what the Wandsworth consultation and also the TFL, and we've invited Wandsworth, TFL and Lambeth, so anybody who wants to come along is welcome. We tend to be local in the sense that our objective is to get it back to Tooting and not Balham, but I think what is beginning to be picked up by people in the area, thanks to work of people like Neil and Jane and also Stephen Colborne, is that this is a much wider issue on public transport. I think that if it goes back to being Balham, if it stays as Balham, then we will be very, very interested in the issues around Streatham, particularly the fact we don't think that it's going to reduce or improve the Northern Line. And also I don't think, are we going to have to wait to 2033 for the Northern Line to be improved? Just to put out, the Wandsworth Council has put out its response to recent responses. Yeah, it's on their website. I think it may be worth trying to work out if there's any interaction possible between Wandsworth and Lambeth, because I think they have very different ideas about some of the aspects.
Thank you very much. Put your hands up again, those people who want to do it. No. Start with the
Hello everybody, from the former mayor to the present mayor. But I'm not here as a mayor today, I'm here as your local councillor. I'm Councillor Saliha Jaffer from St Leonard's. I see my colleagues here. Robert is here and I could see Scott somewhere else. And all the Streatham councillors are sitting here. Jenny and Flo, we are not going to leave it at this. We are going to pester you. We are going to put pressure on you. We are going to meet you regularly. We are making notes of all the concerns, all the advice, all the comments, and we are coming back to you again. 2 weeks ago, Flo, we were there in Streatham Station with Robert L. Chuka and yourself and me. We were all working for you very hard. If you have any concerns, please do contact us as well. All 12 of us, Streatham councillors, are working on Crossrail to bring it here. Thank you.
Hi there. I'd just like to echo the comments on the presentation. Very informative, so thank you for that. One thing I don't know if we maybe have missed out on, but I'd just like to get a better understanding on it. And apologies, I don't have the answer to this question. But what about the actual practical installation of the rail network going via Streatham? Is it actually an easier option than going via Tooting? I don't have the answer to that, but I don't know if we've maybe looked into that, and is loss of houses and buildings via Streatham Loop potentially an easier option as opposed to going via Tooting? Just a question to take into consideration, really.
Okay, other people at the back there.
Just very quickly, I was just wondering what the practicalities we can do as individual members now, whether it be email templates, who we should be emailing to influence. You know, I know to go to my local MP or councillor about things, but if it's the London Assembly, who we should be contacting. You know, I know that I put my email to little surveys to kind of do things, but actually, you know, proper letters. Even now, and the ones in the future, and the business case is there, and keep on kind of hammering it home to the relevant people there. What we can kind of do now, even an email tomorrow, one in a couple of months' time, and lobbying actual people, phoning their offices, that kind of stuff to really put the pressure on.
Okay. There's somebody on the front of the back. Yeah, there's somebody on the front of the back.
Hi, I'm Frances. I've been living in Streatham for 16 years. I did notice that one of the reasons that was given to look into was CO2 emissions. And I know certainly that there's been a large amount of reporting in the Evening Standard with regard to the, I know it is EU levels being twice the safety. That's not just in the high road, that's going down from Brixton, and also in the area around here. So who has this information, and will that be included into the submission that you put through? Because community and the safety and health of people is as important as is the transport. And I think that London, we expect as Londoners that the Mayor will take that into consideration.
Let me see if there's any other people around here. Yeah. Chap at the back. Chap over here. So the chap right in the back, bring your hand again, please.
Just very briefly, can I hold it for me, thank you. Jeremy Klein, former Lib councillor for Streatham Hill. I'm just a little concerned that we might be letting our MP off the hook here. After all, Streatham, this is probably the biggest issue facing this area. And he should perhaps take a leaf out of the book of Simon Hughes in Southwark, who got stuck in on the Bakerloo line extension, together, of course, with Southwark Council, and secured that for that area. So it's really something that we should press him on. And I don't want to. We are trying to avoid political points. I know, but I don't want to put a dampener on things. But I've been involved in this campaign from the word go, and I have crossed swords with Valerie Shawcross on this, and I know she's been a bit negative in the past. So we've got to work very hard to impress on her the need for an underground link to Streatham, because I know from past experience with her that she's not been all that positive.
Hello, I'm Councillor Tim Briggs. I just want to say that with regards to the Infrastructure Commission, if there is pressure that needs to be put on the Infrastructure Commission or a way into the Infrastructure Commission, then that is possibly something for Chucker. So I don't mean this politically, but it would be great if he was here. Equally, if there's anything that we can do, the Conservative group can do in a cross-party way in terms of lobbying or putting our voice forward within Lambeth, within Streatham to the relevant authorities, then we're very happy to do that.
Do you want to get in here? Another discriminating so with people did?
Hi there, sorry, I'm Colin Watkins. I've lived in Streatham for about 10 years now, and I've been appalled with the state of transport around here, and I just want to know that everybody in this room, whichever party we're in, and I tend to be blue, but I've been a bit yellow at times, so like that. But I just want to make transport in our part of London better. And we should all get together and all do our best to do that. Thank you.
This is very quick. I just popped over to Jane because I didn't know there was a social media campaign actually going on. I don't know how many people here know about it, but I'd quite like to feel that if we maybe, we got behind the campaign, all of us, and we start to use that as a ground to sort of maybe try and get more action, because we all know that social media has quite a big impact. So maybe at some stage it would be interesting to find out what we can do from that respect.
Well, I think that's dead right. Social media is important, but I think it's very important also to realise that social media is not a replacement for all the other sort of campaign, and that's really important. I mean, I've seen a lot of campaigns just fizzle out because they think that social media is it, but it's just part of it. Right, so I'm going to give everybody a minute to round off, and I'm going to rather randomly start with Jennifer, because just to round it, and I'll end up with Neil being last. Right, okay.
That's actually fine. Right, to the person who asked about what they can do to keep the pressure on the council and to ensure that this issue doesn't get buried, I would say somebody organise a petition and get hundreds of people to sign it and then present it to Lambeth at full council. That's one thing I would like to see. Then we will have to officially accept that and then respond to it. So councillors, I'm looking to you. Somebody also spoke about clean air. We've been running a campaign, Lambeth has been running a campaign for, I think, 1.5 years, almost 2 years, on cleaning up the A23 bus corridor. And we're pleased to say that we have had some positive results, but we've got a firm commitment from the new Mayor, Sadiq Khan, that he as well, that he will actually, he's also committed to cleaning the air, to improving the air quality in London. Now, in closing, I would like to say that I can't wait until 2030 for CR2 before I see an improvement in the transport links in Streatham. So I'm going to, as well as making the case for CR2, I'm going to take the advice given to me by Lord Adonis and ensure that we campaign and lobby for the best service on our trains by TfL. So we need to ensure that we do not forget the devolution of the rail services, which I've been trying to hammer home all the way through this particular meeting.
Thank you. Well, just very briefly, I mean, we've been asked whether, from the Lambeth Council officer side, whether we will be putting resources and our energies to this campaign. Absolutely, we will be. Simon Phillips, our transport manager, is here tonight and will be working with his team to look at some of the data that could help support some of the arguments that we need to make, and we are working closely with Neil, and we will make that a priority. We obviously develop a strategy for transport across Lambeth, and there are a number of real transport issues that we face in other parts of the borough as well. But what really strikes me is that if you can solve Streatham, and it's not going to be easy, there's going to be a number of solutions, as Councillor Brathwaite has said, you actually also ease some of the problems that we face elsewhere in Lambeth, particularly in Brixton and Clapham. So for that reason, I just want to give the commitment that from an officer side we understand that Streatham needs to be front and centre of all of the work that we do around transport.
So yeah, I'm going to start off at the beginning talking about how great it was people working cross-party. We've just heard from councillors from I think every party that's ever had a seat in Lambeth to say they're committed to getting it done, and I think that is absolutely fantastic. And I'm pretty certain we heard commitment for resources as well, and that actually the council's going to get behind this. Now you have to hold them to it because things don't always happen when they're promised, but it sounds really promising to me. The point that Florence raised about there being a government side to this, about the Infrastructure Commission coming behind it, is a really important one, and actually having your MP on side, having your MP being a right pest inside Parliament to Lord Adonis and the other people who are considering the priorities to put into the Infrastructure Commission is really important. So I would write to him, I really would. And I would look at, you're a bit unfortunate because you've only got the one MP, and lots of places do have MPs on, neighbouring constituencies who can sort of try and you can play them off against each other. So that's a bit unfortunate, but I would put a lot of pressure on sugar to help you, because it does make a massive, massive difference. And the Greens will be standing by you as well, and I think the Labour councillors here have realised what happens to the Green vote when they let you down in the areas. So yeah, we're ready to help and ready to support you as much as we possibly can. We're here for you.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for all coming out tonight and campaigning hard on this issue, and I can assure you that I will be working with local Lib Dems and people of all parties to try to secure this for you. I think it's quite clear, I'm glad to hear something from the council office about putting resources in. It's clear the council have got to put some resources in here, and I think we've heard clearly they are going to do that. We need to have that in order to help make that case. I think, the most successful thing you could be doing is mass lobbying by emails, emailing the mayor, emailing the deputy mayor, copying us in on the assembly so we know you have, and putting that pressure. Because I know as an assembly member, a few years ago the London Cycling Campaign did mass lobbying before the mayor's budget. I had about 2,000 emails in about 2 to 3 days. I felt inundated by it. Every assembly member did, the mayor did, and it helped make a difference. And I think if we're trying to secure this meeting and trying to make some progress and get this sort of looked at again, we need to make sure they know there's pressure and it's not just a handful of politicians, that there's real strength from the community behind it. So that, I think, is the call for action I would suggest. You do that to the Mayor of London, to the Deputy Mayor of London, copy us in on the Assembly, and we can then use that to help us secure a meeting and hopefully make some progress on this issue.
Thanks. As the Assembly Member for Lambeth and Southwark, I will be raising this with Val when I meet with her. So again, it's definitely been good, really good to see all of you taking your time to come this evening to attend this important meeting. A gentleman raised the stuff around practical implications of the cost. Those are all the things that the business case needs to throw up. So again, this is why it's really important that we do get them to actually fully assess it so we can see what kind of figures we're talking about. In terms of air quality, I think, again, this is something that the Mayor is definitely committed to. That's a silent killer that's killing a number of people in this part of London. The pollution levels from the top of sort of Christchurch Road all the way down to the tube station, again, it's breached so many levels. So I'm happy to see that the Mayor's called for the expansion of the ultra-low emission zones, the ULEZ zones, where you'll see vehicles which are quite high polluting will be paying a daily charge. That's going to hopefully be rolled out soon. I think some of the other things that we can do, again, Sean and Caroline's touched on it. Streatham Action have got all your details. Obviously there's issues around data protection, but if they're happy to share that with us, I'll make sure I keep you informed in terms of what I'm doing on the Assembly, and equally I know that Caroline and Sean will probably do the same, and Jenny as the Cabinet lead on I think the last thing I'll say is that, again, yes, this has to be a joined up approach. This is about putting politics aside if we want to get answers and solutions, which, yes, I've only been on the Assembly a month and a half, but I think, again, the Assembly does work in a cross-party nature, which is good, and they've brought about some real changes, so I'm hoping that, we can do that in Streatham as well, to put forward a strong case for us to lobby both Val and Sadiq and Lord Adonis to say, actually, can you revisit this? So that's what I'll be doing as the Assembly for Lambeth and Southwark, to say, I've come tonight, there's pressure, there's appetite for us to relook at that and essentially, making sure we get some of those answers before there's a final decision is made. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to reiterate what the panel has said. This working on a cross-party basis has worked very well to date and will continue to do so. Caroline, delight that you and your other two members are here, but please, can we have your liaison with us in Streatham Action? Your Liberal Democrat colleagues are represented on Streatham Action, so let's do it all through Streatham Action, and that includes Lib Dems. London Air Quality, Simon Phillips kindly tells me if you go on the London Air Quality Network website, you'll be able to home in on Streatham and find out on a daily basis what the CO2 emission levels are. I'm sure we'll put that on the Streatham Action website for you. Yes, we need to get to Lord Adonis. Lord Adonis, in his hat as Chair of Infrastructure Commission, was recommending that Kings Road Chelsea be cut off from the route map, very interestingly. Will he still hold to that as Chair of Crossrail too? We wait to see. That's where we get our money saving from for Streatham. So let's persist on that to get Adonis on side with persisting with No Kings Road, Chelsea, and get them on side with this here. And finally, with regard to media campaigns, yes, absolutely agree that we need to get the email contact details for Val Shawcross and the Mayor on our website, and please correspond with them directly as we go through the more direct route through the Transport Committee as well. And please, the flyers that you've got, do fill those out. They give us valuable information as to your routes into work every day, whether you stop off at Balham on transit to the tube, or whether you go direct into London Bridge or Victoria. That information is crucial, alongside the information that Simon Phillips is securing for us in Lambeth from TfL. So, all together, as a cohesive group here and beyond, I think we could yet get there. Thank you.
Staying pretty much right to the end. Thank you to all the panelists. I think they deserve another round of applause. I think these campaigns are winnable. I've been involved in lots of these sort of campaigns. Some of them have been lost, some of them have been won. They are winnable. It's possible to make changes. It's a very good time to make changes with a new mayor in place. So keep at it, fill out the forms, make sure they have your email address, and thank you very much and good luck.